Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Amazon European Masters. We are still trying to roll out Group D, and I'm happy to be joined by Trouble, as my name is Duckling, for the last 3 games of the day, rather. We have some interesting game coming up in terms of what to expect, Trouble.
That was a very interesting game indeed that we just watched. But of course, going towards the latter stages of the day, the seeds have been locked. LFL superior in this group again. Game Ward 5-0. Dusty from the NLC are going to take the second seed, and then followed up by either Schalke or Macko. We're going to have to wait and see at the end of the day. But seeing as Macko are coming in with like really crazy, fun, interactive drafts and team comps, I'd like to see what they choose to do in a match that pretty much doesn't necessarily do much for the group. It's pretty much a sprite. They're going to be playing versus Macko. They're going to be playing with Schalke. And honestly, with all the role swaps around for Schalke, we saw Lilipp playing jungle, Jaeger back in the top lane. I'd like to see how that fares out.
Yeah, and it's kind of the battle for third place. Probably not the most prestigious battle to be going up, but there's a little bit more to be gained in that, as you say, of course, pride. And anything can happen. You're mentioning the role swap from Schalke. Particularly me, I'm looking for HawHaw in the mid lane. The man can play everything. I've casted him in the Norwegian scene, playing full AP Sejuani mid lane, alongside Tank Malphite, so he could literally throw anything out there. So I'm hoping for a lot of spice. I'm hoping we get entertained with some fun League of Legends, and we have a good time here for the last 3 games.
Absolutely. So here what I'm looking at is like Match have been bringing up some really crazy stuff, especially towards that bot side of the map. We've seen Click play anything from like Scions to Seraphines to Pikes to Rakans to your normal stuff to Surakas. And we just saw the action and also the Talia in the bot lane action mid, of course, Talia in the bot lane. And of course, if we go all the way to the start of the day, Macko took Game Ward. Like it was really difficult for Game Ward to turn this game around and actually take it. And as we move into the draft for Schalke versus Macko, let's see, because obviously there's no stakes anymore for these 2 teams. And usually teams will either do one of the 2 things. They will either just play and try to have their best showing, because honestly, for Schalke, it was very unfortunate, the situation that they had. So these guys still have 2 games to play. They have plenty of players that want to show up and show off for potential pickups in bigger leagues, such as the LEC, such as the LCS, and it's the same thing for Macko. So usually you're either going full hard mode, full gears, you try to show your best self, even though you know you're not going to quarters, or you handshake with your opponent and you're like, let's have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. You can go one of 2 ways, and I'm down for both, in honesty. I'm happy to see someone show what they can do here at the Amazon European Masters and just have some fun. Looking at the bans, pointing out that Renekton in particular, Macko, a team that very much like to play the Renekton. Ivan, we've seen a lot of Ivan ban, but this time they prioritized removing the Renekton off the combo.
And let's see now what they're going to do to take on the B1. Because, again, we don't know if this game is going to be full series, even though I think this is the direction that Ace is going. Again, these guys are basically fighting for a better showing, since they're not going to be going forward to the quarterfinals. There's a bunch of picks like the Zeris, like the Sivirs that are up and available. Sejuani has been the champion that's been extremely prominent over in the LEC as well.
Yeah, so in terms of Schalke no fear doing any role swaps. With that Sejuani, I would believe it to be Elite Joint playing it in the top lane. He has played it many times throughout this tournament, considering they've had 4 games. I think he's played it twice, or maybe even 3 times. He did, in the first game of the day, play support, but with the Sejuani, I think he might be thrown back into that top lane position. Now on to Macko. What can really happen? A Seraphine that kind of opens up everything, hopefully, for Rharesh. Honestly, I really like this guy on the mages, and then HawHaw being allowed to do a little bit more. Honestly, HawHaw maybe whip out the Echo. He was an Echo 1 trick before he went competitive. Would love to see that. Saw it once in the Norwegian scene as well. I think he went 11-1 on it or something like that. Regardless, it looks to be the top lane as the Renekton gets locked in for acid.
Okay, so this one could be a completely blind Renekton, or you're going up against the Sejuani, and we've seen both sides of the coin for the Renekton versus Sejuani. We've seen Sejuani solo kill Renekton, we've seen Renekton solo kill the Sejuani. So I think it will pretty much depend on what the matchup actually is towards the top side of the map, if the Sejuani is going to end up being there. Now, of course, the Seraphine being locked in says nothing about Macko. It could be the support, it could be the marksman, it could also be the mid lane, but I just would like to see a few more melees coming in from the sort of Macko. I really like the fact that Seraphine provides so much survivability, shielding, healing, movement speed in her kit, and it's just really great to have that and really useful to have that when you have a bunch of melees in the team.
Yeah, and the Sivir gets locked in here for Schalke 04 as they look to pick up a support alongside it. That's a scary situation. We just saw what a Sivir could do from Inax, and if TakeSet gets even some of that performance, he will be a menace. Very hard to deal with. As it's now on to Macko, what will they respond with going up against a strong late game scaling bot lane from Schalke 04?
I mean, right here, you also have the chance to pick Yuumi if you want to, and then shove Seraphine through the mid lane, have a Yuumi towards the bottom of the map, you can pair it up with whatever, and then you have 2 very strong or 3 very strong targets that you can stick the Yuumi on. Now, the Senna being locked in, to me, that screams a lot Seraphine, Senna, bot lane. That is something that G2 do a lot over in the LEC as well. It's a very durable lane that can shove in a lot. And of course, the late game scaling when it comes to damage output as well as sustain is through the roof.
Yeah, that is a Macko bot lane had I ever seen one. The 2 Italians down there like to play it safe, like to play for the team, and you know, when they get into those later game team fights, if it's Rharesh or FLICKR who will be playing that Senna, they will have a lot of range and damage, as Schalke did hover the Bel'Veth early on in the pick phase, so that will now be taken off the table as Schalke respond with removing the Jarvan.
And already Trundle's out, Jarvan's out. Something that we've been seeing a lot popping up lately has been also that Vi, where you have a lot of access towards that backline, pairs up really well with something like an Ahri, if you will, because it does have a bunch of follow-up. Now, we're seeing here that Decay's Akali has been banned away because he was extremely dangerous last week on this champion. He almost 1v9. And here you have the chance to possibly even ban something like a Jaeger or Cboi if you so wish. Again, the likes of a Yuumi are still open, but with Senna Seraphine being locked in, I don't think it's going to be the move from the sort of Macko. Jaeger indeed going to get banned away. And now Cboi needs to pick and choose what his champion is going to be. I don't think FI is bad because you have backline access with the Senna ult. Same with the Seraphine ult as well. Renekton can dive into the backline. Wukong as well. Works, I guess.
Looks to be saving the counter pick for HawHaw. Obviously something that makes sense when you have that 5th pick. Let's see what Decay will be going with. I really like Decay and the Akali. I'm sad to see that banned away. I was hoping for some individual outplays there regardless. Looks to be going something, in all honesty, a little bit more boring. Let's be completely honest. Could change it still as he jumps around between a different lot. And that's the LeBlanc. That is very exciting. I'm happy with that. Way better than the Vega that he hovered as well.
Right, and I was about to say, are you ready for like an Ahri LeBlanc matchup? Because it's looking like it might be the case right here. Of course, locking in that LeBlanc very early on, you could go for something like Alessandro in the middle. You could go for something like a Vex. Also depends if HawHaw wants to commit to something like this and prepare the team fights and all of the CC for his team. Now, I really like the Olaf. I don't know whose hands it's gonna end up being in, because we've seen 2 junglers on the side of Schalke so far. But I do really like the Olaf because it goes straight into the backline, is unstoppable through the ultimate. You can reach the backline like the Seraphine and the Senna unstoppable. Wow, that's a Heimerdinger.
They did it. I knew it couldn't be a Macko draft without something spicy to just throw it off here. In realisticness, it will be going to the mid lane, but it could also go to the bot lane if they really feel like it. But that bot lane is simply too, Macko-like that it won't be happening. HawHaw has the chance to get revenge for his first game on that Heimerdinger that wasn't particularly great. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing on the side of Macko, they have so much control around the fight when it comes to setting down your turrets and not allowing people to enter the river or enter small choke points. If you do enter through small choke points, there's a lot of CC coming in from the Wukong, the Seraphine, the Senna. The scaling is immense. But most importantly, you have to see which lane is gankable. Heimerdinger is very rarely gankable because he puts out so much damage, even 1 versus 2, that a lot of the times junglers don't really want to take the risk and gank towards mid lane. Seraphine Senna, a very durable bot lane towards the bot side of the map. You play the lane correctly, you don't overextend. It's really difficult to gank that. So I'm thinking that the only open wound that might be the target from the side of Schalke might be that Renekton in the top lane.
Yeah, I am very excited for the mid lane as well to see how that will play out. The Heimerdinger gets his chance to get revenge on the first performance the HawHaw put out on it. Regardless though, we do have some news. We will be spending a lot of time here normally because Schalke had some internet issues and those will need to be resolved. It will take a while, so sadly we'll be throwing it into a 5-minute break. Go out, get something to drink and get prepared for a very entertaining game between Schalke 04 and Macko coming up right after this break.
When the shots fire, my soul at ease, yeah. If I go down, I might cause a scene, yeah. Them scheme, them go to sleep, yeah. They don't wanna come war with me, yeah. Make it run, Ricky, run, run, Ricky, run. Make it run, Ricky, run, run, Ricky, run. When the shots fire, my soul at ease, yeah. If I go down, I might
Plotting on me, target on my head, oh, they thought I would find out, yeah. Gotta be joking, I ain't been 100, how do you sound now, yeah?
Oh, you better focus, I'm locked and loaded. You say the game, you get forfeit. We back your trophies, better not get cold. We starving, the other team was dinner, now they garbage. We mobbing, y'all really goofy, that ain't not a problem. I'm cautious, I've been on these snakes, just the garden. We novice, operations down in my apartment. They blocking, OG with Decay, ain't no stopping. Better not let me out this shade, they catch the problem. You can keep the rings, we just want the crowd. You can keep the rings, we just want the crowd. When the shots fire, my soul at ease, yeah. If I go down, I might cause a scene, yeah. Them scheme, them go to sleep, yeah. They don't wanna come war with me, yeah. When the shots fire, my soul at ease, yeah. If I go down, I might cause a scene, yeah. Them scheme, them go to sleep, yeah. They don't wanna come war with me, yeah. Make it run, Ricky, run, run, Ricky, run. Make it run, Ricky, run, run, Ricky, run. Make it run, Ricky, run, run, Ricky, run. Make it run, Ricky, run, run, Ricky, run.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Amazon European Masters group stage. Apologies for that slight internet issue, but the game should be ready in just a minute or two, or maybe even less. Regardless, just to kind of bring us back to square one, I am Darkling, I'm joined by Trouble, and we will be casting the last 3 games of the day.
Yeah, and I'm actually really excited for this because we have Heimerdinger, we have Senna Seraphine bot lane, which is going to be a snoozer, but we have Renektons in the top lane. And when there's a Renekton in the top lane, you know there's going to be blood. Either the Renekton's going to be dying a lot. So, okay, I have a comparison here. So when I pick Katarina, and let's say the opponent has picked either LeBlanc or Zed, I know I'm either going to go 10-0 or 0-10.
Trouble, I have a very quick question here, right?
That's
I have
the
a
case
friend
for
of mine.
Renektons, man.
Yeah. For Renektons, but I have a question. I have a friend. He's a Katarina 1 trick as well, but he can't get out of gold 3. Do you have any quick advice that I can send on to him?
Yeah, just stop playing the champion.
Just stop playing the champion. I think he's actually started doing that, and he started to gain more LP.
See, there you go. It works. You're welcome for the free love.
I'll make sure he keeps playing other champs. Swain seems pretty broken at the moment, at least if you ask Dusty and Game Ward. After that last game, obviously, everything is settled. Dusty will be the 2nd seed, and Game Ward will be the 1st. So, playing for pride as Jaeger goes in. He's back to the jungle, by the way.
He just smites the little cannon away. So, basically,
wait, that's
before...
actually the first stack.
If you actually smite... if you actually smite prior to when your camps spawn, your first smite cooldown goes down to 15 seconds, but your second does not. That's why you see the long cooldown on Jaeger's smite. I think this is how it goes. Oh my lord, there's a huge mosquito in here.
Regardless, though,
I'm telling you, this mosquito only.
A story of things to come for the next 3 games, as HawHaw will be pushing out this mid lane early on thanks to the help of the turrets. Hopefully, Trouble, you'll get to deal with the mosquito within a reasonable time frame. I really feel bad for you. I know when that happens, and it sucks, as both junglers will start on that top side and maybe look to rotate down towards the bot lane. I don't think I have Trouble back yet. She's she's fighting the mosquitoes. Regardless, you know, I'm not trapped in here with you. You guys are trapped in here with me for the next couple minutes.
No, I'm trapped
you're
in
still
here
here
with this mosquito. Okay.
You're back. Why didn't you answer me before then?
He's like hovering around. He's the size of my head, but back to League of Legends.
Regardless, yeah. What's going on the map, Trouble? The junglers are down towards their bot sides.
I think my producer's having a lot of fun right now, just seeing me every time I see the mosquito just jump off of my chair. Okay, so the thing with Olaf is, even though we saw that he used both of the smites to take down these 2 turrets so that the Heimerdinger doesn't have a setup push in the mid lane from the very get-go, is that Olaf does not give a single F about the smite. He likes to be pretty low HP in his jungle. This is why a lot of times when we do see Olafs in the jungle, we'd like to see a couple of priority lanes for the Olaf in case the invade does come through, because he does play in his jungle very low HP to get the use of his passive, of course, when he's very low. So that was pretty good stuff right there from Jaeger, cashing in on the turrets as well very early on.
Yeah, and now Jaeger, as you say, he is only missing the Croc for the full clear to be complete. While that has happened, Cboi has skipped his Croc, so that means that he won't really have the full clear, but will be able to secure the first scuttle. And that actually means Acid will rotate down to take the top scuttle. So no scuttles here for Jaeger, who will only be content with his full clear and nothing else here on this first rotation. Good trade.
As you can see, there are 3 lanes of prior right here for Cboi. You've got Heimerdinger, who's setting down the towers. In the mid lane, he's got priority there. Seraphine / Senna. We said it from the very get-go, from the draft as well. It's going to be really difficult to outpush a lane like this, especially when you start getting more and more items onto the Seraphine. But we said that when there is a Heimerdinger and a Seraphine lane, usually the recipient of all the action is most likely going to be... I almost got the mosquito.
Yeah, we lost you for a couple of seconds. I couldn't hear anything of what you were saying.
I almost got him!
Regardless, this top side seems pretty interesting, as Jaeger will be getting his recall through. That means Cboi will simply be focusing on his jungle and Trouble. Allow me to talk Cboi for a minute. The MVP in spring 2021 of the PG Nationals. Obviously, he played in NLC just last split, and I have to reveal myself here. I voted him my MVP of the jungle in 2022 spring for the NLC. Sadly, he didn't win it. Regardless, though, he were able to get top 8 at the Amazon European Masters, and now he's back, you know. I think he's 2-time Italian champion. No, 3-time Italian champion, actually. 3 PG Nights victories for him. As this is 3rd time trying to get through the group stage with Macko, and yet again, they have been unsuccessful, but, you know, maybe the 4th time will be the charm next spring 2023.
Hopefully. But here they do have some chance for some sort of redemption arc, right? Because even though, again, the seeds have been done, dusted, and decided for this particular group, Game Ward is through as a 1st seed, and Dusty from the NLC is through as a 2nd seed. Right here, the players...
Disconnected.
Oh, we're back.
Yes,
okay, we're back.
I was scared for half a second. I do believe that's why we had to
Rharesh.
pause earlier, because this thing needed to get sorted out. All the incident went out, and man, I feel bad for Schalke. This has been a rough Amazon European Masters with things outside of their control. Let's put it like that for the players playing here today, at the very least. But you know, Jaeger gets some good competitive experience. Maybe we'll see him on a team as jungle next split.
Right, so in the bowling, we have a lot of back and forth, and both of the junglers have actually ended up that part, and Jaeger's gonna show himself now. Talking about Jaeger as well, we saw him on the 1st game of the day for Schalke. He went back towards the top side of the map. It was versus Dusty. He did play against Skermers, which probably is his main lane. We had Lilipp joined, playing support, and Lilipp was in the jungle, but right now, HawHaw has found Jaeger.
Ghost has already been popped. Cboi is here as well. No rep buff though, so the slow won't be there. The grenade will slow a little bit as Decay now jumps over the wall as well to follow up. Good damage onto Cboi. A few more autos would do it. And now the chain connects, and Decay would be getting first blood if HawHaw didn't secure it first. Another K forced to flash away, and that's a grenade for a double for the Heimerdinger.
And the thing is, throughout this entire fight, there were 2 towers in this very tiny choke point where Decay and Jaeger were trying to fight Cboi and HawHaw. It was so difficult to play around that place because you have the towers, so it's difficult to hit chains, but Lilipp flashing in for the poly.
Yeah, Click on the wrong side of the map here. Rharesh there to back him up though, so a flash from Click will get him out. Both summoners used that from Lilipp as in the top lane. Elite joined. You might have to do a bit too far forward here, buddy. Into a 1v2. The Cyclone is spinning, but Decay and Jaeger come in as backup. It will be a 1-for-1 trade though, as Decay will secure the kill.
And it's very important because this LeBlanc is getting outpushed the entire time. It's very important to actually get some kills onto that LeBlanc, get that threat, because being shoved underneath your tower, you do not get the opportunity to roam as much as you would like with that LeBlanc. Let's see this replay, of course, again. This is Jaeger overextended a little bit in a river that was not his, and Decay says, okay guys, let's fight. He does get the chain through, but look at these towers. He actually threads the 2nd one onto Cboi as well, so major props to Decay for getting back-to-back 2 chains through the 2 Heimerdinger towers, but still the towers are not just there for them to cover the chain, they're there to put down the damage as well. And when you're fighting around them for the entire time, of course, all the damage done meant that Decay and Jaeger both died in this exchange, giving the 2-0 to Heimerdinger. And now, of course, you're like, yeah, okay, 2-0 to Heimerdinger, but the fact that he has a lost chapter, the fact that he almost has his Liandry's up and available means that the push is going to become more and more extreme for Decay, and Decay is going to have to be using a lot of his ultimate charges to try and deep push the wave in order for him to try and get some roams on the map.
Or maybe Jaeger could come down as well, as he has just taken a Rift Hold, something at the very least to try and claw back this small gold deficit that Schalke 04 flanked himself in after those first couple of kills have come down. Where would you like to see Jaeger use this Herald? Will the mid lane be the most likely target, or are they planning to maybe try and get TakeSet even further ahead?
So usually the question is exactly what you mentioned. Do you give it to your AD carry to get them further ahead, to give them possibly an item, to get them to power spike before a fight? Do you use it to sort of conceal the fact that you want to get into the river and use it as a point of pressure? Or do you open up mid lane? Usually when you have a really heavy wave pushing mid lane on the opponent team, you might as well want to pop it towards that mid lane, especially since you have a LeBlanc. It's going to be a ding-ding double benefit right there. You give money onto your assassin, your AP assassin, assassin, and you also create a little bit of a hole in the mid lane because that Heimerdinger has so much shove, so much push. It's going to be extremely difficult if you don't pick him off the map to actually open up that mid lane. So use the first Herald in the mid lane, get a couple of platings on your LeBlanc, and then use possibly the second one to open up completely the mid lane up.
And in terms of neutral objectives, Cboi will not go quietly into the night as he looks to take away this first Drake. Sadly though, no smite, and Jaeger could simply just walk up here and force him out from the objective. Still, this smite cooldown very long, so Jaeger could still just walk in. Realistically speaking, Ragnarok available, so they would have to kill him through damage. Lilipp, no ultimate as well, so Wild Growth won't be available. Drake down to 2.5k. Yeah, he just walks in. He's just gonna walk in.
They're popping the ghost as well, though, because Click is on the wrong side of the map, but now they're sandwiched.
Yeah, Cboi could look for a very good siphon. He have a good slope from the undertow, denies a full-on engage. As he will be rooted up, Jaeger, taking a bit more damage as the Spectral more connected. Not enough damage for anyone to go down as the Drake has simply just reset and no one gets anything from this.
Saying this right now, but top lane is actually shoving a lot. But you'll see that Decay has returned to the mid lane, which means that HawHaw has to reply to that. And the only reason why Macko is not going to just go for that play, if you look towards the top side of the map, Acidy doesn't have his teleport up and available, so lead joint right here could clear up this wave. And if a fight would break out towards the bot side of the map, he could be back, buy his items, join, and the Sejuani or the Sejuani frontline would be problematic, especially since Macko will be playing 4 versus 5. So really good stuff right there from Macko to actually pull their hands off the trigger and be like, it's fine. We have a push in mid, we have a push in bot. We can actually use and abuse that advantage that we have from 2 lanes towards the bottom of the map however we please. Also, a reminder here that Macko need to be able to defend versus that Rift Herald.
They change connect, but they won't lock anyone up as Jaeger.
Wait.
What? He just got melted
Jaeger,
there.
Wait, Jaeger got baited. Jaeger got baited by Decay. They're like, okay,
man,
guys, we got.
That.
Okay, so Olaf was obviously, I'm joking, Olaf was way too far forward, and because the chains did not land on HawHaw, it means that you do not have any further follow-up on Heimerdinger, and especially with Flash on HawHaw, it would be kind of silly to overextend underneath the tower, right? So Jaeger overextends, ends up losing his life, and the kill will go over to Cboi.
Yeah, I feel bad for Jaeger, man. He rolls drops, he takes one for the team, goes in the jungle, and his mid lane just leaves him to die like that. As Jaeger will respawn once again. I mean, like, going behind O2 as an Olaf feels very bad, and now he's just forced to use the help because he was running low on the cooldown.
Oh no, add the insult to injury. Add the insult to injury.
Oh, and it walks top lane as well. I mean, Elite Giant, he's cheering. He's very happy with this. He'll get a couple extra 100 extra
Get
gold.
that bread, Sejuani. He saw yours. Actually, the Sejuani is 1k behind, so...
It will help. It will relieve some pressure. The main problem is, though, that Acidy could be in trouble here. Lilipp will do a bit of damage, but Cboi is here, so Lilipp, you need to be careful. He does have flag, but he just gets... Oh my, that's a one-shot if I've ever seen one. As
okay,
Lilipp
so
can't even flash away.
I want to say that this is a pretty clever rotation from Schalke because they knew that the Herald was going top lane, but Jaeger might be in trouble.
Yeah, Jaeger in big trouble yet again, baited by his lane as his Acidy will secure the kill with the slice and dice. Oh my, I was supposed to say a couple minutes ago, trouble. This game was played somewhat quietly and pretty clean from both sides, I would say. But now this game has just exploded into, I don't really know what's going on. They might even dive here for a third one, and they will. They won't lose anyone. It's clean. It's a nice dive from Macko, who will get their 7th kill of the game.
And it gets worse. It's like your top side of the map is winning really hard. Your Renekton's really fed. Your Wukong's really fed. You have a Heimerdinger, which makes it really difficult for teams to engage upon you. And yet,
Rharesh will be knocked up with the Wild Growth. Nice play from Lilipp. Flash already used, so a kill will go over to TakeSet. And that's a very important guy to get more gold into his pocket.
Absolutely. Having the Sivir getting some gold into their pocket is very important, but I just wanted to say that you also have a Seraphine Senna that are perma-scaling towards the bot side of the map. And that is also really important, especially since usually when you have a Renekton in the team, you want him to have that early game gold lead, and he does. He's 2.2k up onto the Sejuani. But then later on, this Renekton, instead of a one-shot machine, becomes more of a bruiser, more of a front-to-back kind of fighter, together with the Wukong. So having the Seraphine there, the Wukong, the Senna, creating space in the fight. Let's see, maybe 1v2? Nope.
Yeah, HawHaw. I mean, he has a turret to make it up 2v2, but there's nothing that can really save you there, as the turrets will help him get one back, as Cboi will be picking up his 3rd kill of the game. I think Decay actually has to be careful here. A good amount of burst damage is available from Cboi, who will just be looking for the first shot of the game. Or maybe another kill. He's sped out of his step here, actually. Lilipp comes in as well. Decay very low. But Cboi can't quite really get anyone in this one running. Clock might be up in a couple seconds. Good damage from Lilipp.
Wait!
Who gets the shot down.
Decay flashed for that kill, and Lilipp secured.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Oh no,
Yes.
This is tragic, man. Especially since LeBlanc is absolutely starving. 500 gold down, getting perma-shoved under the tower. If you look in the mid lane, there's 4 tower platings that went over to the Heimerdinger, and he gets sniped as well.
Oh no, this just gets worse and worse for Schalke 04. When does it ever end? And the answer is certainly not now, as Lilipp will fall as well to a good encore, and they will get even more. Jaeger falls for the 5th time in 15 minutes. HawHaw jukes away from the dancing boomerang, actually, as TakeSet will be able to get out alive. And that's the one silver lining. This guy is 1-0.
I don't know how many silver linings you can get here. I think you don't need one. You need a few. you need a few of them, because
Good handful, maybe.
if you look at the win con right here for Schalke 04, it would be maybe grab a few of these early drakes, try to use your Sivir to burn them down really quickly, create a win condition for yourself. Because the second Herald is going to go towards the side of Macko, right? And again, we're seeing the play for Decay. Add insult to injury, Lilipp secures the kill whilst Decay flashes, and then he also gets sniped. Lilipp oversteps, ends up being punished by Click. And that was a beautiful Seraphine ultimate. And you can see how easy it is with Seraphine, Heimerdinger, and Senna to sort of dictate how you want to fight. You step backwards, you step forwards, you create space with Seraphine and Senna spell. Same with Heimerdinger, they get too close, they start getting shot by the towers. So you can imagine how difficult it is for even someone like League Joined on the Sejuani, especially since he's behind almost 3k gold through Renekton, to engage when that Sejuani is even that squishy.
Yeah, and Macko in a pretty confident lead here, as they could look to expand it even more with another Drake being on that. That's still the first one, actually. We're 70 minutes in trouble.
I have good news.
Yeah,
This could be Macko's first win. And it's also a revenge win. Because that number 1 that sits underneath Schalke's scoreline was against Macko. That was from first week. So definitely Macko wants some revenge. They want to make it 1-on-1 versus Schalke, and Jaeger here might be looking for an opportunity. But again, the spacing from Senna is so difficult. Unless you want to commit to actually popping your ultimate, but popping the ultimate on the Olaf without having the ghost, it's kind of like stepping on eggshells.
Jaeger. They might be looking for another flank here, actually. Good stun, but it's onto Cboi, who actually gets bursted very impressively there. Good damage coming out, but now Acid in the front line, taking up a lot. Elite Giant has to run away to get out to safety. Click now, taking up good damage, TakeSet, and certainly spit some good damage out as well. But in the end, only one will fall, as Acid, though, walking very far forward, gets locked up with the chain. That's 2 for Schalke. They could still get more here. Ghosts are being popped, flankings are being blown forward from TakeSet. He's not done. TP in behind. Rharesh set to fall. Won't get anything back. Decay says hello to Click. That's 4 for Schalke 04.
And remember what we said from the beginning. When you have a Heimerdinger setting up turrets, the enemy team cannot actually walk into you. HawHaw was all the way in the bot side of the map. He was taking towers. He was too busy. And we said once you take the Heimerdinger out of the equation, it might make it a little bit more difficult for Schalke if they split you apart to actually take you down. And that's exactly what they did. They've not only managed to shut down a bunch of members from the sort of Macko, cash in on a bunch of these bounties and shutdowns, but also they took a big chunk out of that mid lane turret that was so difficult for them to take down. So next time a fight like this happens again, they'll be able to actually open up that mid lane tower and maybe look for opportunities in the jungle, having the LeBlanc into Fog of War. Or that Rift Herald that we mentioned prior has now been spawned towards the top side, and Macko just going to use that to take that top lane tier 2.
You know, trouble. Schalke, they found a couple more silver linings. They maybe have, what, 2, 3 now. Decay isn't too far behind. They just want to fight. I mean, some good things are actually happening to this team. It looks
To be
like
fair,
as
okay.
they're still behind.
We did not clarify how many silver linings we're looking for. We said
That's true.
If they have found, let's say, 2 and they need 100, they still got a way to go, right? But
That's very pessimistic of you, Trouble. I think maybe 15 will do it. And they're on a solid,
and they have
3, 4 now.
2 out of 15 silver linings. That's still a way to go. But honestly, I trust you and I believe in you, Dudley. And I know that when you see
You're
a
putting
Sivir,
too much faith in my
when you
analysis,
see
man.
a Sivir and a Zeri, you're like kind of skeptic, right? You see people walking towards the Sivir, their HP bars kind of like disappear. You're like, where the damage come from? It's the Sivir, guys.
Exactly.
So,
the boomerangs are bouncing. Jaeger might get caught out. Luckily, he has a Ragnarok, so he's able to walk out of the CC. Smashka though, do blow the HawHaw, upgrade ultimate as Decay.
Oh,
Takes a
Lilipp.
little bonk, Lilipp. You're out of your depth, buddy. He's in no man's land. TakeSet could be in trouble as well. He's trapped inside the Macko jungle, actually. Have they realized he's spotted out now, but they won't chase him down anymore.
But you see that Macko now have the numbers advantage on the map. They can actually move towards the Baron. Look at the ultimates that are missing. Lulu is dead, can no longer buff your Sivir. Olaf doesn't have Ragnarok, which is so important. How do you walk through this choke point without your ultimate? You're gonna die!
And TakeSet is nowhere to be found. Jaeger will be sent into the grey. Say hello to Lilipp, maybe, before he respawns in a couple of seconds. Decay. Yeah, he's not gonna be able to steal this one. Elite Giant might jump in for something, but it's simply just to watch it fall, and he'll fall himself afterwards. I mean, those 2 silver linings there, they've gone down back to 1. That's it.
Okay. You know what? They can keep their silver linings, which were 2, but then we can keep raising the number that they need,
true.
right?
Okay. 20
at
now,
least when
20.
the game becomes really difficult. It's an 8,000 gold difference right here. That Heimerdinger is absolutely huge. Got 2.5 items, hasn't even backed. So observers, please, if we can have a look at the gold to see how much Heimerdinger is actually holding. Right now, his inventory, it's 2k. So that is another Needed Slad's Rod. If you just go towards that death cap, that's a lot of damage that this Heimerdinger has stored. But with 30 seconds, might not be able to cash in unless he's pushing. No, yoink. The goal is gonna get yoinked right there from Rharesh, so doesn't matter if he was pushing for an item. They're gonna be forced to move towards that dragon. It's gonna be the second dragon of the game. That's gonna be an Infernal. So we are bound to have a banger soul again coming from Macko, and Macko will have the 2 first dragons. Now, the thing is, for Schalke to actually be able to pull out this win and this victory is for Decay to probably get a pick onto someone like find Click, find Rharesh, find HawHaw, and actually make this a numbers advantage for Schalke. Otherwise, in a pure 5 versus 5, it is just so difficult.
And Cboi goes in for just a little bit of poke. The second Drake has now spawned. Jaeger, though, on a flank. Click. No flash. HawHaw can flash out, though, Jaeger.
Hold on.
Needs to be a bit careful, as it feels like he can take a lot of damage very quickly. Into a snowman goes HawHaw, then later goes Golden. As Jaeger falls, Lilipp down to 10%. It was a nice flank, but it just simply wasn't enough. And another flank will now come through, this time for Macko. And it will likely work out a little bit better, as ACD takes a bit of damage, but able to go out with the blast code.
And this fight that we just saw, I hope we have a replay later on, is exactly what the Heimerdinger syndrome does in a team fight. HawHaw had 2 of his towers down, but never mind, because Macko died.
Yeah, Cboi flashes forward, but doesn't really connect on anyone important. That's Elite Giant able to get away for now. TakeSet takes 1 down. Could look for more, but Elite Giant gets smoked. Flash forward from Lilipp, who tries to get something back, but it's simply too hard. There's too much healing. There's too much shielding. For a while, at least, as Decay manages to one-shot 1 before he falls himself. Now Jaeger, back up, tries to save the inhibitor, but he can't really save anything except the table scraps.
And the question here is, Macko have a bunch of money into their pockets right now. Do you rush that dragon without a jungler? You do run through the risk of Jaeger running in with something like a Ghost and a Ragnarok and actually trying to steal the dragon away. On the other hand, it is only the second jungler, so do you risk your life? And the answer is no. Jaeger's gonna move towards the top side of the map. You'll see that he will get pinged also from the side of Macko. They're like, okay, there is no danger for the dragon to be stolen away, but very importantly, that mid lane tower finally is going to be opened up. Now, we're talking about the mid lane tower a lot in the very early game because it is such an important tower to take in vision into the opponent's jungle. Now, the problem for Schalke is that they have been playing behind their own lines for the entirety of this game. So taking that mid lane tower doesn't necessarily give them too much vision control at this particular point. Let's see the fight again in the mid lane. It is actually... there you go, you see Jaeger, but look at how HawHaw does. He will empower his tower, with his ultimate, and this is zoning away. TakeSet, Lilipp, Elite Joint. All of them are being zoned away by one ultimate from the Heimerdinger. And Jaeger ends up being, unfortunately, ditched by his team because his team just cannot advance forward through that tower. And from there on out, Macko, pretty clinical. I mean, they will overextend a little bit.
Yeah, Cboi here.
Cboi right there with a little bit of an overextension. Gets caught by the Sejuani. You see the proc right there on the stun. And TakeSet will take him out with a bounce of the ricochets. And Asadi walks in to try and finish the deal that Cboi did. And once Decay has spawned, has back again, will take out the crocodile. But that was a really nice. Asadi knew he was dead. So he's like, I'm gonna flush stun you. But Jaeger is going in yet again on the Renekton.
Yeah, he's chasing hard on Asadi, but might just die here in the end. Can't get out, it seems like, as he misses the undertone, the important carries. Good shield though from Lilipp to buy some time, and Ison takes it. He is melting through the backline, but it's just not enough. Rharesh bad, he's still alive. And Macko get a 1-0.
You can see how dangerous actually Sivir becomes towards the latter stages of the game. And Decay
finds one, but goes back out, and that's straight into a cyclone, straight into the waiting hands of Macko.
Oh, TakeSet.
Will also get one, but TakeSet. That silver lining is growing bigger and bigger trouble. They can't get onto him.
Okay, TakeSet refuses to lose this game together with Decay here. And we said that if this game is to be turned around, it's through picks from Decay. Look what he does. He shoves the Seraphine away. Jaeger here will overextend towards the Renekton. He will end up paying the price with his life. But you'll see that when Macko is actually all grouped up, prone to back, and TakeSet gets to freely hit, because Elite Joint is actually in the front. Look at all the ricochets. Invisible damage makes all of the life bars from Macko almost disappear. Decay is going to finish the deal right here. Of course, he's going to go panic. He's going to get punished. But he has cast once again the shutdown, and TakeSet here is going to take 2 more kills for himself. This Sivir is going to be huge.
Danish AD carries, man, what can I say? They're so good at the game. Regardless, though, Macko are still with the lead, and I think, as you highlighted just a couple of minutes ago, it's very important to remember how much this means for the PG Nationals, right? At the moment, with how Amateur and European Masters are going, both in spring and in summer, PG Nationals were the only minor ERL able to take a win. And they got 1 last group stage. Macko will look to get 1 here as well and continue to bear the flag as the strongest non-accredited ERL. But they need to close this game out, because I'm getting more and more worried for Macko here. Trouble because TakeSet, he's very good at League of Legends.
He is very good at League of Legends, and currently he's sitting at 4-0-6. 3.5 items in. His 4th item will most likely be either something like a Bloodthirster, or he can go towards something like a Guardian Angel. If he does get found by a Renekton or a Wukong as Jaeger here, he's gonna face check that Wukong and burns his ulti, but Decay...
Yeah, Cyclone already used. I mean, for the next couple fights, we're just gonna have our eyes set on TakeSet. HawHaw as well, good turrets, but he uses the upgraded one on the Baron to try and burst it quicker, so that's a very important cooldown out of the fight. A couple fights ago, it almost one-shot Lilipp, so let's see what happens with the Baron down to 4k. Still, eyes on TakeSet and eyes on the Baron with the ball. Jaeger can walk in, it's a pure 50-50, but he's gone. No longer, the steal opportunity is there. TakeSet though, still alive, he might get something back as FLICKR are firing out the shots from a long distance, where even TakeSet can't compete. He's gotten 1 though, still 4 from Macko stand as they have won the fight for now.
And remember, Seraphine, Senna, Heimerdinger, all still up and available, all still alive. Decay's looking.
Connects the chains, but the cooldown not quite there, so the burst wasn't really coming through. So Cboi survives, barely. Drake spawning though, and that is something that Schalke can take away.
That's something that Schalke can try to take away, because Heimerdinger is on his way. There's Hex Gates as well, remember. Decay will have the TP in, he's going to channel it, but he is channeling towards 3 members from Macko.
Decay, that's a bit too far forward, buddy. You're going straight into your death. You have to feel that's an incredible cyclone. Eyes on TakeSet, and it looks to be TakeSet match for Macko as they've taken down the one silver lining, the one bit of hope for Schalke, as Click will get debated just a little bit here. The Benny Hills, though, won't really need to be cute. I think Decay goes down regardless to Rharesh. Or maybe the base just falls even without Decay going down.
Oh, okay, Click, very clever right there. He's got above the ward in the burst, and of course they're TPing in because there's only 2 members remaining from Schalke, and there's no wave clear among them. Macko has 5. They're looking to take revenge for week 1.
Macko will get the first win of a non-accredited ERL at the summer split of the Amazon European Masters. It's a big one for them. It's a big one for the non-accredited ERLs, as they will get just the last few couple of kills to make sure this game is all but sealed. TakeSet is up in 2 seconds, but he cannot do anything other than watch his Nexus fall, as Macko will improve their score to 1-4.
Very well done here from the Italian org. Again, they take revenge because Macko, of course, lost to Schalke here on the first week. Ended up going 0-3 on the first week because of that loss to Schalke. And right now they managed to get 1 back for themselves. Really important, as you said, for the non-accredited leagues as well. And the showing off from the players when it comes to LEC and the big leagues, you know, all the eyes are here. All the eyes are looking for the next big star. And it doesn't matter if you come from an accredited or non-accredited league. I just want to mention, for example, Unforgiven had not even been at an EU Masters, and now he's doing fantastically well in the Mudline. So being able to showcase what you can do versus the big boys of, like, you know, the LFL, the NOC, the Prime League, the Super Liga is very important. And Macko showed a lot of fight here.
Yeah, I think both teams showed some good individual prowess throughout the game, and we certainly had an entertaining one, regardless of the impact on the standings that this game didn't end up having. So we will be going into an interview. We will be joined by the 1v9 machine from Schalke 04. It is TakeSet, the one silver lining in this game, it really felt like. And, you know, welcome. Commiserations. Obviously, this has been a very tough Amazon European Masters for you guys, but I think, you know, looking at it, I don't know if you agree, but you've shown some solid individual performance, not just you, but other members of the team as well, which you guys can be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was better than expected. We didn't really have too many expectations when we got the news with the roster thing, so I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like happy with how it went, obviously, but I think it could have been worse.
And TakeSet, of course, there is no point at this point, like looking at the past. We're only looking at the future, and we're talking about how important it is, even when you're guaranteed to not make it into quarterfinals, for you guys to show up and show off. And your performance so far in this European Masters has been great. So I just want to ask you about, in general, the group that you guys have been slotted in. How do you see the likes of Game Ward, Darcy that are going forward in the competition?
Thanks, first of all. I think that this group was like the weakest one, I would say. To be honest, when we saw the results, we thought it was kind of free win. That was, of course, before we got the news with the roster. But I think the teams aren't necessarily bad. But I think, like, if someone from this group draws like LDLC, Vitality, BDS, I think it'll be very hard to win versus them. But I think, yeah, I mean, it depends how the other groups go, of course. But overall, I wouldn't say that this group has like the highest chances of going to like finals and stuff. So yeah, that's what I think.
Ooh,
Spicy.
Okay. So I had Vitality, LDLC in there. I didn't hear Game Ward. Because you said at the start it was free. So I'll keep my eyes on that.
Regardless, though, obviously, this Amazon European Masters has been tough for the entire Schalke 04 organization, but you had a very good summer split down in the Prime League. If you were to reflect on that, are you happy with how that part of the split had gone?
I would say our regular split was like kind of up and down. I wasn't too happy with my own performance in the regular split, but I think since playoffs, I had been very consistent. And I was like overall happy with how I played and how the team played, because I mean the team atmosphere wasn't the greatest during the playoffs either, but I mean, we just played good on the official day, so it ended up not really mattering, except in the finals versus Unicorns, of course. But I would say that the playoffs of Prime League, I'm like pretty happy with how we did as a team and how I did individually.
That's very good to hear, and that will sadly take be all the time we have for you. Commiserations on everything that has gone on this Amazon European Masters, but I do want to congratulate you on your strong individual performances. I've been very happy watching you as a Dane. It's been fun following you, and hopefully it's a sign of good things to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And with that, we are back to just us, Trouble. He's such a wholesome guy.
I have something to say. Obviously, congratulations for an insane performance for TakeSet. He was literally refusing to lose in that game. But to that one person in the chat who said, quick behind you, there's the mosquito. I have to tell you that the mosquito is outside, back in the wild, and he's living his best life and he's thriving, no longer in my living room. Thank you very much. But back to this game, of course, as we're watching the highlights. I feel Macko had a pretty stellar early game. They used their mid to bot lane prio to allow Cboi to play towards that top lane and the top side of the map. Once they got the Renekton ahead, then you know that it's going to be pretty easy sailing from there on onwards, because the bot side of the map is full scaling for your team. You've got a Senna, you've got a Seraphine, you've got a Heimerdinger. It's going to be so difficult for Schalke and LeBlanc to play into your composition. But now, of course, when you're a little bit ahead, I would say, in the early game, you tend to overextend, as we'll see here. Like, Cboi overextends a little bit. We had a couple of these fights tackling where somebody would overextend from Macko, and then TakeSet would do a bunch of damage with Sivir. Decay would go back in and punish. But at the end of the day, Macko was so far ahead, and they had such a really great composition, I have to say, from a front-to-back team fight that they just ended up clearing the game.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting fight in particular. At the start, Jaeger, he's a bit too far forward, but this was really where we saw the strength that TakeSet brought to the team with the Sivir. In this one, when Illy joined his tanking, he manages to get a buttload of damage out with those ricochets. He's only hitting the front line, but look at Click and Rhare's HP bars just evaporate. That is pretty disturbing and definitely shows the strength that Sivir has, and we have some good Sivir players in here, Group D. In particular, I'm thinking of Inex, who has had monstrous performances on it. Regardless, though, Macko were able to bring it back in the end around the Drake, which we'll be seeing shortly, I believe, as Cboi, he found a very good cyclone. Fair play to him. I know, he's a guy who sometimes has very good performances, sometimes shaky performances, but in this game, he was very good at finding the fights, and you can see it. They were in control of the entire game.
And honestly, if you're wondering, hold on, I'm trying to do quick math, but it looks like Schalke and LeBlanc have a lot of damage compared over to Macko. Macko have a lot of sustain. Senna, Seraphine, the shielding, the healing. So even though you do damage, you almost have to do it double as much to break the shields, to take down that healing that's coming through. And of course, it's like also Zonias and a bunch of defensive items coming in from the Renekton and the Wukong that kept Macko alive to finish the game.
Yeah, and we should be taking a look at standing shortly, because I do want to see how that shakes things up in our group. I do believe that Schalke and Macko are now tied in the standings, so they are sharing the third place for now. None of them are going anywhere near that first place, but they are sharing the third place, as we will be seeing more games from both of these teams, as they still have one more to go. Next game will be not Game Mode Dusty going up against Macko, and then we have Game Mode Schalke to round out the day. So games that can't change anything in standings, but they can give us good entertainment, and I'm very happy for that, because that first game we had trouble was very entertaining. So
we have an LC.
We have an LC. I'm excited for an LC. Pulse, Denmark, et eller andet. Regardless, when we come back after this break, Dusty will be taking on Macko, as I will see if den voksne can remember how to play League of Legends. See you after the break.